So Game Workshop did it again. After the Pride Marines, the Femme Studies, they did it anew. During the latest edition of the Warhammer community, the Siege of Deathmire, and the result of week 1, we got the reveal of the new models for pretty obviously the Space Marines. And it all come down to some pretty neat new warbikes that were removed a few years ago. And then, who say speed, say obviously white scars. And there we go. Here is the problem. We got the brown scar instead. So many of you are gonna say, oh, this doesn't really matter, this is just a paint job. And yes, when you buy your mini, the paint job is yours to do. It's your problem, your own minis. But when you're gonna promote mini, a new sculpt or something for a very specific faction, you are expected as the franchise to respect said faction. So people gonna find it super weird if, for example, we got a salamander released and when you remove the helmet, the salamander is white. Yes, because salamanders are not supposed to be white. And for the same reason as people were weirded out on the White Dwarf edition when we got the Pride Marines as primaries, because anything related to feelings or loves or any sexual attractiveness is sent to Slanesh, a chaos god, born for the orgies of the Coneheads. Now it was the same with the Femme Studies. Femme Studies were weirded out because they were never even once mentioned in the lore. And that's where Game Workshop used their advantage point. They were like, well, it was never mentioned, so that doesn't mean they didn't exist before. They were just not mentioned. And there we come to the brown scar. So for our not Warhammer initiated, the white scars come from the great Primarch Khan, the Khan. And he's basically space Mongols, because the white scars are the sons of Chagatai Khan, and Chagatai Khan is basically known as the Space Mongolian, and the sons of said Primarch are, well, supposed to be Asian, East Asian, so Mongolians. Now you can argue that, in fact, even in the games or any other fiction, there is probably some brown or black white scars, or even white ones, and not Asian one. This is not a problem. But when you think of white scars, you think of Space Mongolians. And this is where the representation starts to be an issue, because the very franchise would normally promote Space Mongolian. And this is where it comes to another issue with the Femme Studies. When you think of Custodes, you think of these big, perfect, godlike Apollon-looking guys in big armor. Now, on the game Space Marine 2, we had Heron, which was a black Space Marine, and there is no issue with that, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely no issues. By the way, he got killed off screen. The problem comes where, for the same reason as there might be some albino salamanders or something, this is not the first thing you think when you think of a specific faction. And this is why peoples are getting pissed off, because it feels, once again, a bit forced like the Femme Studies. When you think of White Scar, you should think of Space Mongolian. When you think of Space Wolf, you think of Nordic Space Vikings. So why on the first representation don't get a Space Mongolian? The minis, don't get me wrong, once again, the minis and the painting is incredible. The guys who did it, or girl or whoever, did an absolute amazing job. But when you release a new model for a new army, we would expect that the Game Workshop respect the lore. Anyway, this is where Game Workshop did their little messy agains and their forced DIY stuff. Let's see how the second part though of the Siege of Deathmire is gonna lead us, and see you another day. Now, one of the issues of it is that we're expecting, as a representation of Space Mongolian. And the issue is not especially the skin color on itself, like brown. If they were blue or black or white or green, for example, it would be the same problem. For example, if Game Workshop tomorrow release orc, but the orcs are blue, that's gonna be a problem. The same way.